My son caught me off guard when he posed a question that unveiled a true tale of infidelity. Rachel lingered in the softly illuminated kitchen, her delicate fingers gliding along the chilled edge of her coffee mug. The air was heavy with silence, interrupted solely by the soft hum of the refrigerator and the steady ticking of the clock that adorned the wall. The crimson digits flickered beyond the stroke of midnight. Noah had yet to return home. Her chest ached, but not with anger. This was a weightier sensation, more profound and empty. It was a sense of unease. Ever since she wed David, she had made numerous attempts to close the gap that lay between her and Noah. Yet the boy had constructed a barrier around his heart, a stronghold that eluded her every attempt to breach. Each endeavor found her poised at the precipice, hands devoid of hope, heart battered and aching. The abrupt crunch of footsteps on gravel jolted her from her reverie. Her breath hitched as the front door groaned open, the sound reverberating through the house like a haunting recollection. Noah crossed the threshold. His shirt hung raggedly at the shoulder, while streaks of grime sullied his jeans. His face bore a pallor, taut and etched with the weariness of fatigue, yet beneath it lingered an unsettling shadow, something more sinister. Terror, disquiet. "You're late," Rachel said, her voice soft and cautious, as if she feared to disturb him. Noah cast a weary, detached gaze in her direction. He muttered something indistinct, then shuffled by her like a specter, vanishing down the corridor toward his chamber. "Wait," she called softly, trailing behind him. "What transpired?" "Nothing," he muttered, his gaze fixed elsewhere. "There's no need for concern." Yet, she found herself consumed by worry. She was perpetually consumed by worry. The tension enveloped him, a storm cloud looming overhead, heavy with the promise of an impending downpour. She lingered in the silence that followed the closing of his door, a yearning to delve deeper coursing through her veins. Yet, a palpable fear gripped her, the thought that a single misstep in her words could send him retreating even further into his solitude. Thus, she decided to bide her time. At this moment, the following evening, Noah remained quiet at the dinner table. He scarcely engaged with his meal, his fork moving languidly, nudging cold peas from one edge of his plate to the other in deliberate, slow arcs. David, always the mediator, sought to ignite a dialogue. "How was school?" he inquired with a casual air. Noah gave a slight shrug. "Fine," was all he uttered, unchanged as ever. Brief, hollow expressions. Rachel observed him with keen attention. Tonight, he carried an air of distinction that set him apart. His typical air of caution had transformed. At that moment, he found himself consumed by a sense of unease. Filled with unease. A bird poised for flight, yet uncertain of its destination. "I'm heading out," Noah declared abruptly, pushing his chair away with a swift motion. "To what destination shall we venture?" David inquired, making an effort to mask his concern. Freshly released, Rachel's gaze locked with David's from across the table, a wordless concern flickering between them. A sense of unease lingered in the air. As the night deepened, Rachel caught sight of a faint glimmer of light seeping from beneath Noah's door. With a moment's pause, she rapped gently on the door. "Is that you, Noah? How are you holding up?" Silence prevails. With a measured motion, she eased the door ajar and glanced within. He perched on the edge of his bed, the light from his phone illuminating his tense features, his shoulders drawn tight. He found himself adrift in contemplation, his jaw set in a firm grip. "Whatever is unfolding," she spoke softly, "you need not confront it by yourself." "I'm fine," he muttered, his eyes fixed unwaveringly on the screen. Yet, Rachel remained unconvinced. That night, as she reclined in bed next to David, her gaze fixed on the ceiling, an overwhelming weight settled in her heart. There was an unsettling feeling in the air, and the act of waiting proved futile. As twilight descended, casting a warm glow over the rooftops and elongating the shadows on the pavement, Rachel resolved to take a step forward. As Noah stepped out of the house, she trailed behind him. She lingered, heart racing, as he strode purposefully down the street, veering abruptly into an alley cloaked in shadows. She followed him quietly, each step taking her breath away, and then she caught sight of them. A band of boys huddled together under the wavering glow of a streetlight. Their laughter reverberated, yet it lacked any semblance of warmth. One of them pushed Noah with enough force to send him off balance, yet Noah swiftly found his footing once more. The boys engaged in a conversation that eluded her ears. Then one of them presented Noah with a small object. Metal glimmered faintly beneath the dim illumination. With a moment's pause, Noah slipped it into his pocket. Something within Rachel shattered. "Noah," she called, emerging from the shadows, her voice cutting through the silence more sharply than she had meant it to. Noah stood still, caught in a moment of disbelief. A flicker of panic crossed his features. "What brings you to this place?" He let out a sharp bark. "You must return home," she stated with conviction, her voice unwavering despite the quiver of her hands. "Leave me alone," he snapped, yet a crack in his voice revealed his true feelings. The boys gave disapproving looks before quietly. Once they had departed, Noah exhaled unsteadily, his hardened exterior shattered. "I didn't know what else to do," he whispered, his voice trembling. "They threatened to keep bothering me if I didn't do what they wanted." Rachel moved nearer, her hand softly resting on his arm. "No matter what this may be, we will persevere." In unison.
Y assure you.
For the first time, Noah remained close. His shoulders drooped, as though she had lifted a burden from his back. On the subsequent night, Noah found himself in the living room, his gaze fixed vacantly on the flickering television screen. Rachel entered with a soft step, placing a cup of tea gently beside him. "You can't keep ignoring this," she said softly. "I'm handling it," Noah muttered, his gaze fixed intently on the screen. Rachel replied softly, "That's not the case. I witnessed the events unfold. Those boys, they are not your companions." Noah's jaw tightened. "Your following me was not something I requested." "I had no choice," Rachel replied. "One night, you returned home with a torn shirt, and the very next moment, you found yourself slipping away with those who hold no regard for your well-being. What was I meant to do?" "I'm not a kid," Noah retorted, his face contorted with frustration. "I am fully capable of looking after my own needs." "No," Rachel replied, her voice steady yet resolute. "You have outgrown childhood. Yet you are selecting paths that lead you into peril." In that fleeting moment, silence enveloped them both. The silence elongated, taut and fragile. "I don't know what else to do," Noah muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. His voice trembled. "They persist in their relentless pursuit of my attention." "Whom might you be referring to?" Rachel inquired softly. "Tyler," and he acknowledged his companions. Noah confessed. "Following the passing of my mother, I found myself at a loss, unsure of how to navigate it all. They instilled in me a sense of belonging. Initially, yet now they refuse to release me. It is said that I am in their debt. What do I owe them?" Rachel felt a tightness in her chest. "Favors," Noah said, his voice laced with bitterness. "At first, they just asked for small favors and errands. Yet now they urge me to commit theft. Should I fail to comply, they warned that they would pursue me." Fear danced in his eyes, revealing a raw vulnerability that Rachel had never encountered before. "That's not happening," she declared with conviction. "I have no choice," Noah whispered. "You always have a choice," Rachel replied. "I refuse to allow you to confront this by yourself." He let out a derisive laugh. "You fail to comprehend. They are aware of our residence. They are aware of you and father. If I do not, do you really believe I fear them?" Rachel's voice took on a cutting edge. "This family is not to be trifled with. Not in my presence." Noah gazed at her, uncertainty dancing in his eyes. "You have to trust me," Rachel said softly. "I would like to speak with your father. We shall unravel this mystery. Do you believe Dad will be able to resolve this issue?" Noah inquired with a touch of bitterness. "He hardly ever engages in conversation with me." Rachel replied softly, sensing his fear. "He is uncertain about how to connect with you." With a deep sigh, Noah ran his fingers through his hair, a gesture laden with weariness. "I cannot pull you into this situation." "You didn't pull me into anything," Rachel stated, You belong to this family. It signifies that we confront challenges side by side. For an extended moment, Noah remained fixated on her, as though deliberating the merits of trusting her words. He nodded, slowly, as if weighing the gravity of the moment. Very well, he murmured. A wave of relief surged through her chest. We will resolve this, she vowed. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Noah found himself believing her. Yet Tyler was not one to retreat without a fight. As the night deepened, Noah found himself pacing in his room, the ominous buzz of his phone echoing in the stillness. Tyler's name illuminated the display. Only one more night remains. Remember this. A wave of panic washed over him. With a swift motion, he seized his jacket and slipped silently through the front door. Yet, Rachel had already risen from her slumber. She perceived the gentle click of the door. In an instant, she seized her keys and set off in pursuit. She discovered him at the intersection where Tyler and his crew frequently gathered. They lingered, smiles stretching across their faces like the sharp edges of a hunter's grin. "You're late," Tyler scoffed. "I won't do it," Noah declared, his voice trembling yet resolute. Tyler advanced with purpose. "This is not the way it operates." "I'm done," Noah replied. Someone in the group laughed quietly, the sound unsettling. They surrounded him. "Do you think you can just walk away?" Tyler's voice turned cold. He said, "I owed them." "I don't owe you anything," Noah said, taking a step back. "I shouldn't have trusted you." In an instant, the street was awash with flashing lights, law enforcement vehicles, echoes of sirens. Officers leaped from their vehicles, their voices ringing out with urgent commands. Rachel stood nearby as the authorities took Tyler and the others away. "It's over," she murmured softly to Noah. He let out a long breath, his body slumping in a wave of relief. The ensuing days unfolded with a serene stillness. More secure, Noah gradually revealed his thoughts to David, piece by piece. They dedicated their afternoons to the garage, mending his bike, and sharing laughter once more. One weekend, David astonished him with a brand new set of tools. "Your mother would be proud of you," David remarked. Noah took a deep breath, his throat tightening. "I'm uncertain about that." "I do," David replied. "She often remarked on your strength. You validated her belief." In due time, Rachel rapped gently on Noah's door. With a graceful motion, she extended an envelope toward him. "I discovered this among your mother's belongings," she said gently. "I believe it would be best for you to possess it." Within lay a letter, her handwriting precise and deliberate. She expressed her pride in him, her conviction that he would evolve into a person of strength, kindness, and capability. Emotion flooded Noah as he absorbed the words on the page. He whispered, "I miss her." "I know," Rachel replied, taking a seat beside him. "She would take great pride in you." "Thank you for everything," Noah said. "No need for thanks," Rachel said with a gentle smile. "You are part of the family." For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Noah found himself embracing the truth of it. The house had transformed in ways unrecognizable, more buoyant. Meals were exchanged among us. The sound of laughter echoed once more, and Noah, marked by his struggles, was on the path to recovery. Not solitary, but united with the family he believed he had lost. Perhaps, just perhaps, they were all journeying back to where they truly belonged.